Dear participants, a pleasant morning to day 2 of our faculty development program. We are excited to continue this journey of learning and collaboration. Your enthusiasm and engagement make this program truly enriching. Let's make today another day of insightful discussions and knowledge sharing. Thank you for your active participation, and let's make the most of today's session. Welcome. Moving on to first session of today's FDP. It is with great pleasure that we extend a hearty welcome to. It is both an honor and a pleasure to welcome a distinguished global business executive, Mr. Naveen, to our gathering today. With over 24 years of rich experience, primarily in operation and IT, Mr. Naveen brings a wealth of knowledge and leadership to the table. Notably, Mr. Naveen has devoted over 2 decades of his career to DHL, showcasing unwavering commitment and exceptional leadership in IT solutions for Americans. His remarkable journey includes steering successful expansion in the Asia Pacific to establish the LLP product and later transitioning to DHL IT service, where he pioneered the setup of the IT service quality department. Mr. Naveen's deep industry knowledge extends across various sectors, reflecting his versatility and strategic acumen. His passion for understanding and contributing to customer businesses underscores a profound customer-centric approach that has become a hallmark of his career. A testament to his leadership in the industry, Mr. Naveen holds the position of chairperson of the SCM subcommittee at the Southern Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, further solidifying his commitment to driving excellence in supply chain management. Today, we have the privilege of learning from Mr. Naveen's extensive expertise in logistics and IT. His career is a shining example for versatility, strategic leadership, and a steadfast commitment to the ever-evolving fields of operations and technology. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Mr. Naveen. We eagerly anticipate the value, insights, and perspectives he will share with us today. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning everyone. I know you're used to receiving good mornings, but for a change, yeah, you're the students here. I'm not being used to be a professor or a teacher. By no means, I come from the corporate world, right? So this is new to me as well. But the session can be 10 minutes or 2 hours. It's in your hands. Absolutely, I don't control that. Your participation will make the session interesting for me as well, because I'm not here to share any great insights. I'm not a saint or a sage by any means. I come from the corporate world, so we have certain things that we learn and practice in the corporate world. So I'm here to share, but also learn from each one of you, right? So that's the objective. So your participation will make it far more interesting, right? Let's start where we should start. I think the teachers by nature are leaders, right? You may or may not see yourself that way, but be sure that that is a very important part of your profession, right? So you are the leaders, but your leadership typically is seen through the lens of the classroom, right? But let's step out of the classroom, and that's why I took you to the mountains today. I don't know how many of you are skiers. I'm not one. I have hurt myself trying a couple of times in the Alps and other places, but nevertheless, you have a lot of impact that you create on every individual's life that go through your classroom, right? And they also become, kind of, yeah, I think reaction flow, and that should be okay, but as long as it works. So slow, now back up. So now coming to the topic, the role of emotional intelligence in leadership. I think, is the topic that we are going to kind of learn together today, because I'm not going to tell you what emotional intelligence is today. I'm sure that is, something that you are familiar with, sessions yesterday or even otherwise. For the longest time, I regretted on this particular topic. I have a personal connection. Daniel Goleman, who is the father of emotional quotient or also emotional intelligence, used to be a professor at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio. And 2004, when the academic bug bit me, I used to live in Cleveland, and I was looking at doing my MBA. So I was, looking to choose between Case Western Reserve University, where Professor Goleman was a professor, Cleveland State University, and Baldwin Wallace University. 3 universities I was looking at, and unfortunately I couldn't manage to get into Case Western, where Professor Daniel Goleman was teaching, because it was just way too expensive. So I ended up with Baldwin Wallace College. So I always regretted maybe I should have studied under him, right? He used to be a professor there. But that's a small side story. The lady here was giving me an introduction. I've done quite a few things in my professional career. But who am I? I look at myself as I'm an optimist and I'm a work in progress. That's my identity. I can throw DHL out, I can throw anything out, but my identity is I'm an optimist. I can see positive side of anything and everything at all the times, right? That's the nature of who I am, and that's what I would like to be remembered as. And I'm in a work in progress. I don't know everything, and I will never know everything. I truly believe in that. So there's an opportunity to learn for us every moment from everybody. Something what you should do, something what you should not do. Both are learning. I would say the latter is more important than the first. Yeah. So I think that's who I am. Now I have to get used to this one a little bit. Let's start with the small exercise that we. So was it shared with? So there was an exercise given on who your favorite teacher or mentor was. So everybody familiar with the exercise? Did some work around that? Yes, no? Yes? Okay. And have some notes around that on who it is and things like that, I suppose. So these were the questions that we sent out, and we're going to reflect on this, right? So first is, who was your favorite teacher or influencer, role model during your childhood? All of us do have somebody, right? And it could be anybody from a friend or a neighborhood akka to, some mama to a teacher in your school to anybody. We have always had some role models, right? That's the setup of our society. Doesn't matter which part of the universe you live in, that always happens, right? Why were they your favorite? And what was the influence they had on you, right? What did you like about them? What did you learn from them? It's extremely important to kind of reflect on that, right? And then, how did they influence you in your life, in your career choices? What are the remembrance, right? And lastly is, personal. Are you still connected with them somehow? Yeah. We all are no longer in the same areas, same age group. Things have changed. So you have moved on. And lastly, what emotions do you experience when you think about them, right? So these were the questions that, I requested you to reflect on. So everybody ready with that? In general, yes, because as I said, we can get that session done in 20 minutes or 2 hours. It's up to you. I'm in no means interested in staying here for 2 hours. If I don't need to, happy to leave. Would look for sharing. just to give some context and some sharing, let me start with my own set of mentors and teachers, right? So that you understand the context on where I'm coming from. The series of names there: Srikanth, Ramalingam sir, Dr. Peter Kelly, Dr. Param Srikantaya, Dr. Harry Burry, Dr. Tony Khuri. Some of the teachers and professors I fondly remember till date. And they have had a huge influence on what makes me as a human. I don't consider myself as a leader because that's up to others to decide whether I'm a leader or not, right? Leader is not a post or a title, right? It's how others feel when you're around, right? So I'm going to start with my sharings, right? Then, I would, ask some of you to continue with that sharing, right? So first is Srikanth. Yeah. Srikanth happens to be my school senior. So he wasn't even a teacher for me, a school senior, but way more than a senior. So what did he do to me to mentor me and to, to influence me, right? So he was a school senior. We were in the same locality, so we used to cycle, pedal, walk into school, right? So this was in, I think, I vividly remember 8th standard. All of a sudden, one day he says, "Day, inniki madhyana vandu essay and elocution competition irukku, and the room la irukum vandru." I said, hell no. I'm not used to any of that, right? I go to school, study is what my parents' expectation is, but I have fun and then I come back, right? Olunga mariyadaiya vandru. Said okay. I show up there and then I win 3rd prize in both, right? So absolutely no clue. But those, 1 year of walking together, he saw something in me. And that is when he showed me what I'm capable of. That's the role of a teacher. And it doesn't have to be a teacher as in a title of a teacher. It could be anybody. And that's the reason I said, they've all had those kind of influences. So, you could even say, one of the reasons I can comfortably stand here and talk is because of Srikanth. Right? Since then, I've been to several competitions, national level, presentations, international level, college. Been able to do it all. Right? But if Srikanth didn't do what he did that day, right? I don't know myself. I absolutely didn't know what I was capable of. Yeah? And that, I believe, is the role of a teacher leader, is to expose, to show the students who they are and who they can be. Right? So that's one of my teachers, mentors. Interestingly, I spoke to him a couple of days back. He's a very senior executive at Siemens Medical Systems in North Carolina in the US. But again, flood, Sebra, that was the call, right? Then Mr. S. Ramalingam, my math teacher, right, for 10th and 11th standard. Yes, we did a lot of math, right? What else did we do? Why do I remember him today? For 2 reasons. One, we published 2 textbooks. We published 2 books, yeah, while I was studying in 11th and 12th. One was the role of the contribution of India to the world of mathematics, right? So he made us publish a book. We were involved in doing research, and this was in 1988-89. You can imagine this. No internet, absolutely, I don't need to tell you. Yeah, some of you may have grown up in that generation, but most of you look much younger than that. But yeah, so what did I do? I found out for the first time there is an institution called IIT. I found out first time in my life that there was an institute of mathematical studies in Chennai, right? Connemara Library, American Consulate Library, British Council Library. This is what I did for the entire year, right? Interestingly enough, the topic I wrote was on zero. What is the significance of zero, right? So, was it mathematics that Ramalingam sir taught? Yes, it was mathematics because that was his job. But beyond mathematics, a passion to learn, a passion to research, right? It was way early, right? In those days and age, these days, I think even 5th standard students are expected to publish papers. I don't know how they do it, but apparently they are able to do it, right? But that was fascinating journey. In fact, the second thing I will never forget, after 12th standard, he was expecting a centum from me. I was an utter failure. So I got, I think, 189 or something like that. So, oru varsham kuda pesala. Right? So, the process of learning, the process of research, how important history is in order to build something new. And those, the copies of those books are at the National Library in Calcutta. Right? And the following year, he didn't stop with it. We also published a book called The World's Contribution to the, Mathematics, right? So it was the next series. So some amazing work we did at school. And this was not a private school and, a big tick school, railway school, Perambur. That's where I studied, so a typical government school. Yeah. So amazing influence. Even today, I think about him whenever I'm doing my research, the approach and the process I go through. That was the impact Ramalingam sir left on me. I'm still in touch with him, hale and healthy at 80. He's still doing well. Yeah. Dr. Peter Kelly. He was a dean of academics at Baldwin Wallace University in Cleveland, Ohio. So, having studied in India all my life, so I'm going into an academic institution in the United States. So first day going to college, they say, yeah, you need to go to the office room and collect a pile of books. Of course, we did. Such a big pile of textbooks. Yeah, I took it, put it in the car trunk, went back to the class, and there was Dr. Peter Kelly. Peter Kelly came in, looked at the students, he said, did everybody collect your textbooks? Said, yes, we did. Then he said something very profound. He said, don't bother bringing them to college. That is for your reference at home. Very powerful. Very, very powerful. Because what it did that day is, it broke all the academic beliefs that I had as a student in India. He said, that is for your reference at home, don't bring them to college. Phenomenal. I will never forget Dr. Peter Kelly for that. Right? Then quickly, so that you have enough time to share, Dr. Param Srikantaya. So he taught us international studies. So Dr. Param, as the name indicates, Indian origin, but very renowned. So he looks at the class and he says, how many of you are here for A? Yeah, the grade. Yeah, some hands went up, as you can imagine. It's still an academic setup. And he said, everybody in my class receives an A. So if you choose not to attend my class, feel free to do so. Profound. It was amazing. And all my classmates will tell you, that was the best learning experience for the entire class. Nobody missed anything. Because he basically gave it. He said, if you are here for grades, then this is not the class for you. You are here for learning, and let's learn together, was his attitude. And unbelievable, I'm still in touch with him. He, speaks a lot, writes a lot on LinkedIn and stuff like that. So amazing professor, right? Dr. Harry Burry, he taught me organizational behavior. First day we entered the class, old man, he's now should be 95. I last met him in Bangkok about 7-8 years back. He teaches there. And he's a pastor, so in the church attached to the Baldwin Honors University. So Harry Burry comes in, he says, everybody get up. We're going to drive to a nearby park. Yeah, so we're going to drive to a nearby park. Say, yeah, fine. Well, what's wrong with it? So everybody gets up. We go to the drive, everybody drives to the nearby park. And then he says, we all gather back here after 20 minutes. Everybody disperse, not in groups, but as individuals. And if you know a little bit, about the parks in the US, there will be water streams and all these kind of things. It's really beautiful setup, right? So we all go, 20 minutes later we come back, then hop back into our cars, get back to the class. Then he says, do you know what we just did? Absolutely no idea, right? We are here to learn organizational behavior, right? And then you took us to a park, and then, we were watching the birds, and he said, that is precisely what I wanted. This is about self-reflection, meditation. He said, it is such an important part of becoming a leader and being a leader. You need to have time with yourself to reflect and be with nature and be with yourself in order to become who you want to be. Your learning doesn't happen when you're sitting in groups of people and talking loud to each other or sitting with a book. He says, sit with nature, 20 minutes, which is what we call it as meditation. And Dr. Peter Kelly, a pastor and a professor, taught me that in Cleveland, Ohio, of all places. And my dad would be completely unhappy with that because he's trying to teach me meditation for 40 years, right? And I've refused to do it. So, amazing learning. Dr. Harry Burry. Dr. Tony Khoury is a professor of Lebanese origin. Professor of Lebanese origin. Amazing guy. He taught us strategy. To finish off so that I can hear your stories, what did he tell us? He told us, you are here to study, you're enrolled to an MBA program. Said, this is the highest degree in management. I don't want to see any of you in any academic institutions ever in your life. This is it. From here, you are going to be vice presidents, CEOs, CFOs, whatever. And that's the leadership role that you should look at. That's it. I mean, possibilities. If you look at each one of these professors, possibilities, right, is what they were focusing on. Potential, right, is what they were looking at. Nobody asked, what was your score in 12th standard? What did you do in 10th standard? They didn't care. They absolutely didn't care. Right? To finish off, Dr. Peter Kelly, one last story. So, he said, so guys, we have a prison system in Cleveland. He said, yes, every city has its own prison system. He said, as a business executive, as a CEO, what is your responsibility towards the prison system? And of course, none of us hesitated. We said nothing. That's the government's job. Yeah, they maintain the prisons. They make sure that, these people get fed and they get punished or whatever. Nothing to do with that. He said something fascinating. He said, you live in this society. These prisoners will be let off in 3 months, 6 months, and they'll be back in society. Do you want to be running a business in a society with criminals? What is your role as a CEO? That completely changed the dimension of what we were looking at. Right? He said, if you're not going to employ them, what are they going to do again? And what will that make that neighborhood as? What will that create into that society? Right? Completely different thinking, completely different thought process. Right? So again, not I can talk for the entire day, as you can imagine. They really had a lot of influence in me. Now, coming back to our topic and you who are more important than me here. So, who would like to start any sharing? As I said, I'm not from the academic background, but I know to point, yellow color there and green. I can do that. But I'm sure, yes, please, ma'am. Bring me a mic and
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, sir, for this opportunity, actually. I was inspired by the way you narrated everything. Now it's my time. When this exercise was given actually, the person immediately came to my mind was one, Dr.R.Gayathri. She was the head of the department when I was doing my BA English Literature. She was the vice principal of my college also. And she is one person who made me think in a different way and who made me speak in front of people. When I got into my BA English Literature, that was the common exercise we do. Even today we do that in classes. We want the students to write about themselves and we want them to write about what they want to do in future after their UG or PG, whatever. She also did the same thing, and I wrote I want to become a teacher because I come from a teacher family. So I wrote I wanted to become a teacher, and but I had severe face where I cannot face audience, I cannot talk to people. I wrote like that. Even in school, I have never participated in any of the elocution competitions. I would participate in essay writing, but not in elocution because you need to face the audience, right? So I have never done that. So it was the first year. We were in art college, so we celebrate each and every day there. We celebrate this, that, we celebrate garden day, we celebrate library day. So it was library day, and my HOD came to class and she was like, "That is an elocution competition and I want you to participate." I said, "Ma'am, I'm not doing it." I said, "I can participate in essay writing, not in elocution." So she was like, "No, otherwise you are participating," and it happened to be an extemporary. I can't participate in elocution where you get chance to prepare and then go, you memorize, and then use what you have already learned. But because you're getting the maybe 5 minutes before and you have to prepare within that 5 minutes and you have to prepare. I said no. She said no, you are coming. So the next day was a library day. I went there. I thought of absenting myself, but she was my teacher and she knew me, right? So she said, "Alamedi, you are not absenting yourself. If you are doing so, you are not coming to college again." I think I'm cool. Okay. Press and hold it.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So, yes, so the next day I went to college and I was reluctant. I went to college and I was called to the library. It was a small reading room where there were only 20 people sitting, and among the 23 were the judges. They were sitting in the front. I went there reluctantly and I chose the lot, and the topic was pollution. So I was very happy because pollution is the easiest topic on earth. Even a 6th grader can talk on it. I was really happy. I thought I can do that. And there was my friend standing outside Kayalvidi. She said, Alamelu, you will rock, don't worry. You're going to just talk about pollution. You just define the term and then you talk about different types of pollution, causes, remedial measures. That's it. You can talk for 3 minutes. I went inside after 5 minutes with a lot of preparation and all that. I got onto the stage. The room was very small. You can imagine a small reading room. My HOD was sitting in the front. I went onto the stage. I said, good morning, everybody. This is Alamelu, from first year BA English Literature, and I'm here to talk about pollution. That's it. My mind went blank. I couldn't think anything. I couldn't talk. I started shivering. I could feel my cheeks shivering. I was wearing spectacles then. I couldn't even talk. I looked at my teacher, and she was staring at me. She said, Alamelu, go ahead. I said, no, I can't do this. Now, please leave me. She said, no. Continue. What to continue? I didn't even start. I can't resume when I didn't start. She was staring at me. I started crying. So that I thought if I cried, she would leave me. No, she did not leave me. I stayed there for 3 minutes. And finally, she said, Alamelu, you get lost. That was like heaven for me. I said, thank you so much. And I left the room. And I did not tell you what happened. After that, she called me to her room and she blasted me like anything. And that happened. And after that, she called me and she prophesied and she said, Alamelu, you want to become a teacher where you have to take the students in class. I know you can do it, but the thing is you have hesitation. You need practice. Okay, so it's just a skill. Looking at people, talking, expressing what you think is just a skill which you can develop, and I think you can do it, and I can help you. The thing is, you should be ready for that. And then from the next day, she said, every day before class, you have to do this. I will give you 10 minutes of my class. I will go sit in the library, which is the next room. She said, you can take the first 10 minutes and give a recap on what happened the previous day. And first few days, I was hesitant, but I could do it because I thought these are all my classmates and I don't bother if I even go wrong. So I started doing it and slowly I started learning how to face the audience. I stumbled, I stammered, I failed a lot, but I think I'm doing a better job now. And as Sir rightly pointed out, we need to work on ourselves. And I think there is a scope of improvement in everything. And every day I'm trying to improve. That is why I'm here. So that's the first person who influenced my life, and only one more person, and then I leave. The second person is Dr. D. Krishnan, who was my ATAL guide. He was like my father figure because I lost my father when I was 9 years old. So when I met this person, he looked like a father figure to me. And he was the one who taught me how to think in a cohesive way and how to write in a coherent manner. So by then, I think it was 99 or so, 99 or 2000, where the internet wasn't that popular. Or in other words, I wasn't very well versed with using mobile phones or whatever, internet or computers. So I had to depend only on the library to get the notes for my MPhil research. So I used to write the whole night till 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. And when I take the papers, maybe 30, 40 pages I would have written, I would take it to him. And he'll be like, what have you written, Alamelu? There is no connection between ideas. First paragraph and the second paragraph doesn't have any connection. Okay, so I was a university rank holder, and you know the ego that you have when you top the class for every semester. When he tells you at the age of 22 or 23, you do not have connectivity, you do not have connection of ideas, you know how my ego would have been shattered. I would cry the whole day, but he'll be like, Mandu. He will call me Mandu. There is no connection in between what you have written. Then I cry the whole day. Next day I will write again, and he'll just write it off from the top till the bottom. So, and finally I learned how to think, and he made me think in a different way. He gave me a lot of perspective, and he sat along with me and he started learning literature again just for me. He comes to my home and he used to do that. So And he was a great grammarian, and from him I learned a lot of grammar and the little English that I know today, and the connectivity in my ideas, the way I express today, I think I owe him a lot, and even today I'm in connection with these two people, and every Teacher's Day I make sure I call these two people, and they are the true inspiration for me. And whenever I go to my classes, I will be like, out of the 65 odd people, if I'm able to inspire at least 3 or 4 in my class, that would be a success. That would be a gratitude that I show to my teachers. Thank you, sir. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
Hello everyone, I am Ganesh from Kanjipuram.
You can grab this and you can speak. Just that.
Can I speak in Tamil? Both. என் பேர் ஜெய் கணேஷ், நான் காஞ்சிபுரத்துலேருந்து வரேன். என்னோட மென்டர் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நான் ஒரு டாக்டர்.R.Gayathri. அவர் தான் என்னோட மென்டர்னு சொல்லுவேன். ஏன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அவர் மெடிக்கல் ஷாப்பில் ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தேன். when I was in school, 10th standard. அவர் வந்து எதுக்கு இங்கே ஒர்க் பண்ணுறேன், ஃபேமிலி சுச்சுவேஷன் அதனால இங்கே வந்து ஒர்க் பண்ணுறேன். சரி இப்போ ஒர்க் பண்ண ஒழுங்காக படிக்கணும். ஃப்ரீ டைமில் என்ன பண்ணுவார், அவர் வந்து நான் படிச்சுட்டு இருந்தா அவர் வந்து ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுவார். அவருக்கு பேஷன்ஸ் இல்லாத டைமில் வந்து வா என் கூட வந்து உட்காரு, என்ன படிக்கிற நீ, எப்படி படிக்கிற கேட்டு அவர் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுவார் ஃபுல்லாக. அப்புறம் லீவ் டேஸில் போனாலும் வந்து ஒர்க் பண்ண விட மாட்டார், கூட வந்து உட்காந்து என்ன படிக்கிற, எதுக்கு படிக்கிற, தப்பு நீ பண்ணுறது. சயின்ஸில் வந்து ரொம்ப ஸ்பெஷலிஸ்ட். அவர் எம்டி ஆக்சுவலாக. போய்கிட்டே இருக்கும்போது எக்ஸாம் டைமில் வரும்போது ஷாப்புக்கு வரலன்னா திருப்பி வீட்டுக்கு அனுப்புவார். வீட்டுக்கு போகும், படிக்காத, ரெஸ்ட் எடு, ஒழுங்காக படி. ஈவன் கிட்ட மார்க் கம்மியாக வாங்கினாலும் பரவாயில்ல, போதும், இதுவே இந்த அளவுக்கு நீ பண்ணதே வந்து பெஸ்ட்டு தான் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு இன்னும் மோட்டிவேட் பண்ணுவார். அப்புறம் 12th முடிச்சுட்டு காலேஜுக்கு போகும்போது அங்கேயே தான் இருக்கேன் நான். சொல்லுவார், நீ என்ன எடுக்க போற, பயோமேக்ஸ் எடுத்தாச்சு, 12th முடிச்சாச்சு, என்ன எடுக்க போறேன்னா நான் வந்து மைக்ரோபயாலஜி எடுக்க போறேன். நல்லா முடிவு பண்ணிக்க, என்ன ஸ்கோப் இருக்கு உனக்கு. அப்புறம் இன்ஜினியரிங் லைன்ல டெவலப் பண்ணாரு. ஓகே, இன்ஜினியரிங் வந்தாச்சு, ஆட்டோமொபைல் முடிச்சாச்சு. அப்புறமா நான் ஜாபுக்கு போறேன் அப்படின்னு சொன்னேன். ஜாபுக்குலாம் நீ போவாத, உனக்கு ஜாப் செட் ஆகாது, நான் இங்க பாத்துட்டேன் கடையில, உனக்கு செட் ஆகாது, நீ பிசினஸுக்கு போ. இல்ல சார் நான் போறேன், நான் ரெஸ்யூம் ரெடி பண்ண போறேன், ஐடியா கொடுங்க அப்படின்னா உனக்கு செட்டே ஆகாது, நீ ரெஸ்யூம் ரெடி பண்ணாத, வேஸ்ட் நீ பண்றதுன்னு சொல்லிட்டு இப்போ நான் ரெஸ்யூம் கிடையாது எனக்கு சொல்லிட்டு அவர் சொன்னார். அப்புறம் கடையிலே இருந்து அப்புறம் ஒரு பிசினஸ் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணியாச்சு. வெல் நல்லாவே போயிட்டு இருந்துச்சு. அப்புறம் கோவிட் ஃபுல்லா கொலாப்ஸ் ஆச்சு. திரும்ப அவர் கூப்பிட்டாரு, என்ன ஆச்சு. அவர் எல்லாமே நோட் பண்ணிட்டே இருப்பாரு, என்ன பண்றான் இவன், எப்படி பண்றான் அப்படின்னு பார்த்துட்டே இருப்பாரு. போயிட்ட உடனே என்ன சொன்னாரு, சரி நான் திரும்பவும் சப்போர்ட் பண்றேன், கூட சேர்த்துக்கோ, கொஞ்சம் ஃப்ரீயா விட்டுட்டு திரும்பவும் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு இப்போ வெல் அண்ட் சக்சஸ்ஃபுல்லா மூவ் ஆயிட்டு இருக்கு. அவர் வந்து ஒரு மென்டரா சொல்லலாம். எது ஒரு பிளஸ் பாயிண்ட் அண்ட் மைனஸ் பாயிண்ட் இருந்தாலும் அவர்கிட்ட ஈஸியா ஷேர் பண்ணுவோம். அவரு வந்து என்னென்ன வேஸ் இருக்கோ எல்லாமே பர்ஃபெக்டா கைட் பண்ணுவாரு. அப்புறம் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா என்னோட ஃப்ரெண்ட், இந்த கடைக்கெல்லாம் போயிட்டே இருக்கும்போது படிக்க முடியாது, அவங்களுக்கு தெரியாது நான் இங்க உட்காந்து படிக்கிறேன்னு. என்ன பண்ணுவோம், நீ என்ன படிச்ச எனக்கு சொல்லு இருக்கும். அவர் எனக்கு சொல்லி கொடுத்தது வேற மாதிரி இருக்கும், இவங்க வந்து கிளாஸ்ல இருக்கிறது வேற மாதிரி இருக்கும், எக்ஸாம்ல எழுதுறது. அவன் ஒரு நாள் முன்னாடி உட்காந்து எனக்கு சொல்லி கொடுப்பேன், இப்படிதான் படிக்கணும், இதான் எழுதணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. இந்த 3 hours முன்னாடி சொல்லுவாங்க, ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ் சொல்லி கொடுத்தா ஈஸியா பாஸ் ஆயிடலான்ட்டு, அந்த கேட்டகரி தான் நானு. சொல்லி கொடுப்பான், அதுல பாஸ் ஆனதான். அவனும் அதான் சொன்னான், நான் வேலைக்கு போக போறேன், இது மாதிரி சொல்றாங்க எல்லாருமே வந்து நீ வேலைக்கு போக கூடாதுன்னு. ஏன்னா அவர் சொல்றதா கரெக்ட், நீ வந்து பிசினஸ் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணு, பிசினஸ் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணாதான் உன்னால பண்ண முடியும், நீ வேலைக்கு போயிட்டா உனக்கு செட்டே ஆகாது சுத்தமா அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. இல்லைன்னா என்னோட ஐடியா வந்து ஃபுல் அண்ட் ஃபுல்லா ஜாபுக்கு போகணும், 9 to 5 ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு என்ஜாய் பண்ணணுன்றதா என்னோட ஐடியாவே. எல்லாரும் இந்த அளவுக்கு புஷ் பண்ணி தான் வந்து ஒரு பிசினஸ் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு அந்த சர்க்கிள்ல தள்ளி விட்டு இந்த லெவல்ல வந்து நிறுத்தி வச்சிருக்காங்க. அண்ட் மயிலை கிராஃப்ட்ஸ்ல வந்து ஒன் ஆஃப் த டைரக்டரா இருக்கேன் நான். ஐ இஸ் டூயிங் சம் டெம்பிள் ஒர்க், கோல்ட் பிளேட்டிங். தேங்க்யூ.
Thank you very much. One more sharing before we go to the next speaker.
Very good morning to all. I would like to emphasize two teachers of mine. One is Mr. Ramanujan sir. He was my math teacher for more than around 7 to 8 years in my schooling. He's a bit different from others. He used to just look at what are the best points that can be tapped out of all the individuals. So he'll be picking up certain students who are doing well. And it's not like he is demotivating the rest of the students. He will call it specifically. He will give certain inputs in what way we can help the others to improve on and work on. So that is a very good strategy which I captured out of my math teacher. So he used to give us a very standard problem statement which can be taken from standard textbooks right in my 9th and 10th. And he will also suggest us in what way we can transform all those gist to our peers who are doing in average so that they can also improve themselves. So that is one of the kickstart, and it is a kind of, he triggered the leadership quality and also helping mankind with others. So that is the very important thing, and even now he is working as head of the Department of Mathematics in DOV School, Mogape. And I got the opportunity to meet him after a span of say around 20 years, and just few months back, say around 3 months back, I just met him, and we both handshaked and with sharing of new experiences. So that's one thing. And my second inspiring teacher is Rajalakshmi from Immaculate Heart of Faith Girls Higher Secondary School, where I did my higher secondary education. I was actually having my fingers crossed when I enrolled myself in government aided school. So I was simply sitting like this, and in the very first day of introduction, they were just putting certain questions which is open to all. And everyone was idle, and I was the one opening up my mouth and rendering all the possible answers for the questions which is posted by my high secondary teacher. It was the very first day. And that madam named Rajalakshmi, she was just monitoring how I am giving out the answering and how I am volunteering myself in the closed paper. And so all this kind of recording she did personally within her for a span of say around 10 days. And after that, she called me and she just announced me, mentioning that you are going to be the school pupil leader for this Immaculate school. So I got selected to act as SPL for the entire 2 tenure of time. So that is the second thing which happened with Rajalakshmi at higher secondary education. And last but not least, my father itself is a teacher, and I could just derive a very good and positive signal from him. And then he just spend some quality time. I will be spending only very minimal time with him, and he just steps back. He will not mingle much with even ourselves. So I will derive how typically we have to maintain distance and how ethically we have to just connect with even parents and also the teachers. So my pranams to my father. Without him, I will leave you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. One more question. I'm not like setting city there one, here one, so I'm not making it now. So in the second area, I have to fix. Huh? I think that is recording the
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, sir, for this opportunity. in this stage, I just want to remember, because when I saw the topic yesterday in the group, I just started to remember about all my school teachers and my college lecturers and professors who have guided me so that I have come to this level. So talking about the mentoring from the high school level, when I joined first in my that is in ninth standard and all, in our school, I studied in a government school. There was a practice that students should not come with watch and all. So after 8th standard only we are allowed to come with watch and all to school like that. So on the fourth day when I met my ninth standard class teacher, I was very impressed because she'll be looking beautiful and the way she talks. She's a Brahmin ma'am, and the way she talks, the way she presented herself admired me. And when I first met her, I was happy to see that she had her watch in the right hand. So from that day onwards, I started to have the watch in my right hand, and that comes as a practice itself. And the foremost important thing she have guided to our class students is you should have this quality of communicating with each other without making any hesitation. Because in a government school, though we are in English medium, we'll be having that internet that how what we are talking is correct or not and all. So she'll be telling that though you are talking wrong or right, that is not a matter. You have to talk in English, whether it is correct or not, you must communicate with me like that, because she handled both English and maths for us. And when I come to high school, it was a very great thing for us to have her as a class teacher as well as for English and maths. In our class always the competition will be there with the next section students, and our class students will excel all because of her thing. And I admire her quality, like we should talk boldly and we should tell our views prominently. That is the thing I have learned from her. And after I shifted from this 9th and 10th, when I come to 11th and 12th, again the Tamil staff who have come for our class, also the same thing. Telling like leadership quality is more important. That is the ideas what we have to tell that should reach the people. Even when she takes Tamil for us, the points when she quotes, he'll be telling like that person, whatever it is, Silapadikaram and all, and the kings of the story சொல்லும்போது கூட அவங்களோட குவாலிட்டிஸை சொல்லிட்டு அந்த குவாலிட்டிஸ்ல whichever we need to follow in our lifetime and the things and that she has shared. So that is the way we have been molded in the school level. And I then came into my college in my UG. Actually, one of our seniors was the class mentor, in charge for us, and she has guided us a lot. And from her and her friendly approach made her to cross this UG and all very smoothly. And the way she has taken class and all, still I am following some of the techniques what she has followed for us in our college practice right now. And after UG, when I come to my PG and for my MPhil, the MPhil guide also was very good and very the way she is communicating with me and thing, and I learned a lot how to present my thesis, because for us PG and all we won't be having any thesis work and all. After we entered into MPhil only we'll be having thesis preparation, and she made me to comprehend the ideas what I meant, whatever research I did, and she has guided me a lot to compile how the work has to be done and all. And the last but not the least, my PhD guide, and she is the mentor who have made me to attain my PhD degree and to have a job in this reputed institution. And her leadership quality is excellent, and the way she is making us, molding us to make our research work, how it has to be done, how it has to be the framework, how it has to be done, and the documentation purpose, and the ideas, how it has to be delivered to the people. That and all I have learned from her, and this is how all these people molded the way in which I am presenting my life right now, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So, anybody else? Yeah, I got it. So, one of the important leadership qualities is empathy, right? Empathy is an emotion that gets generated in you purely based on gratefulness. If you're grateful, you're empathetic by nature, right? And everybody, each one of us here, have 10 reasons to be sad and mad, but a million reasons to be grateful. And I am not exaggerating. If you do a count, you can find out yourself. I've done the count myself, right? And, I can be, angry and upset. Yeah, I have a handful of reasons like every human being. But then if I look at, what should I be grateful for? Absolutely a million things, right? So, when you're talking about emotional intelligence, being empathetic is such an important emotion that you should experience, and that has a cascading effect on your students, right? While you are, recounting, what happened, how you are influenced by your teachers, right? I want you to consider in their lifetime, if there is at least one student who is recounting about you, that's the impact you should be leaving, right? At least one student who says, so and so sir, so and so ma'am is the reason I'm here, right? Nothing can match that. Nothing can match that, right? So we can talk about emotional intelligence. I can bring Harvard Business Review and all of these documents and overwhelm you with that. But at a fundamental level, right, empathy is the emotion and gratefulness is the only way to get there. So keep counting on it and be empathetic to your students. Be empathetic to your students. You don't know what they're going through. You have absolutely no idea, right? They're not just a bunch of bodies sitting in a class, right? They are human beings sitting in a class. They have emotions, they have problems, they have issues. Once you are able to demonstrate that, it will invoke the empathy in them. And that's all about emotional intelligence, right? We can all read, but we can practice. And we can practice on a daily basis. Yeah? So, any reflections on this topic? What do you think? What was some of the learnings from this topic? Anybody who didn't share here, maybe just, ma'am, what was your observations, learnings from this particular topic? Suma share pananga, nothing,
It's like finding further motivating. We should recall them, and as you said, we should have a contact. The third eye, telling those points actually. So you said that you are in touch with all the persons. I have.
There is always a time in life when you can go back. So that's the beauty of life, right? We are not done until we are done. So that's the reality, right? So thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So I want you to do something now, right? Real quick. If you don't mind, all of you get up for a second. Yeah. And, think about your mentors and teachers and maybe do a shloka. I do Guru Brahma, but up to you. Each one might have something. Just spend a minute. Yeah. Think about them. Thank them for what you have become. Yeah. Thank you very much. Somebody say something? No. Okay. Now we are going to talk a little bit about perception. How do we judge? What is the importance of perception? Right? I see a person, right, and say, okay, this person could be this and this person could be this, or I see them, do something, and based on what they do, I will say, okay, maybe this person is this, and that, right? So that's perception. Perception is, as they say, skin deep, right? It doesn't go beneath that. There's no reason for it. And judging, right? So I'm going to say a few things, and I want you to just shout out loud, right? And think. I'm talking about a student, yeah, because that's the community you deal with. So I had to struggle a little bit to get back to school and college because I deal with professionals. So a student, 10th standard, 379 out of 500 marks, right? So on top of mind, what is your perception? Anybody? Just 379 out of 500. This is the mark. Somebody is telling you this. What is your perception? Average student. He did not score well. What else? Master of long languages. What else? Anything else?
I will not judge anything out of school.
You will not judge anything out of score. So you will give 11th standard admission. No, I'm just pulling your leg. Right? So there is something called reality, right? So again, we'll come to that.
When he or she is having a finding core knowledge on the particular thing where they are about to enter, that is more versatile rather than really want to just
Sure.
That's motivation.
Lacks motivation. Same student, 976 out of 1200 in +2, 12th standard. Now perception. Same student. Nothing changed. It's the same student. Okay. You don't have those details. Again, perception is not into detail. Mediocre student. Anything else? Average, mediocre student. Never. Consistent. I like that. Adhe mari makkave irka. I like it. Right? Then, go on BSc. Right? 68% BSc perception. Same student. Again, it's not changing the student.
Not clear in his roadmap.
Not clear in his roadmap. Brilliant. And then goes on to do his MBA somewhere. Doesn't matter. Right? Some local college. Perception. He's into something. He's, trying something. Now I'm going to share additional information, right? So, 10th standard is into a lot of activities, scouts, NCC, Rotary Club, lot of activities, right? 10th standard along with the 376 marks, right? Perception. He's a good student. Holistic development, yeah.
What concern over the society and societal impact has the personality.
Right. So 12th standard again, lot of science festivals, again NCC and all that kind of thing. Rotary International, that kind of thing. Same, consistent, similar, yeah. So, yeah, this is the student. This is what we have. This is the guy, right? This is him. Additional information. Additional information. That's me. So this is, this is not about me talking about me. the person is irrelevant in this. The topic is about perception and judging, right? So, you deal with students. You deal with students all the time because that is part of your job, right? And more often than not, right? The way perception works is, yeah, he's 12th standard, topper in that school. So he should be good now, right? Brilliant now. But I want you to consider the distinction between competence versus potential. Potential is very difficult to, judge. How do you know? Like, it is like magic. Nobody has magic in their hand. But that's the difference. That's the difference between a mediocre teacher and a teacher who is a leader. They will look at potential, right? The minute they see the potential, their behavior and the perception changes completely. Completely changes. I remember this period at my home, my mom used to scream, bloody hell. Bloody hell. You can imagine. Because I also had a sibling whose worst rank in his life was second rank. Right? So, my younger brother. So, you can imagine my amma going crazy. But the person who stood by me was my dad. He said, see this. See this. He always recognized that. Right? And some of my teachers recognized that. They used to go, government school once in a while, parent-teachers meeting. I mean, this is way back, right? 88, 89 period. Nobody complained about my academics. Because every week or every month in the assembly, I am receiving something. And they were quite happy with that. So they did not complain about my academic performance. Pass pannittu answer. Adella kavalapradadhu. Right? So quite pacifying. So the reason I brought this up is, again, nothing to do with the individual. I wanted to make it factual. That's the reason I use myself. Right? I cannot call anybody as a screw up. I can call myself as a screw up. So I have the liberty to do that. Right? So you as academicians, you deal with this in every hour 60 times because you have probably 60 students in your class. Right? How can you elevate that? How can you change that game and start looking at potential and not purely based on capability? Capability is the marks they score. Potential is what they could become. It takes effort. It takes faith. It takes trust. But are you able to transition that? That's emotional intelligence. Right? So, how do you not judge anybody just purely based on K? Because marks are marks. Nobody can change that. There's a mark sheet. There's somebody who is graded. Right? How they got, what they have done to get it, it doesn't really matter. Right? Right? But how do you get beneath that and start looking at, potential? So, now I'm going to take a pause. I've shared, one story. Any stories that you can share where, you have seen many students pass through these corridors, gone out and become who they have become. Any of your stories that you have met somebody as a student and said, damn, I thought this guy would hardly be a cab driver. Hell, bloody hell, he's the CEO of a company. Right? Thank God for that. Right? We're all happy for him. But any such stories that you can share? Anybody? I'm sure you have such experiences. It's very natural that we do go through those emotions. Any stories to share? எதுவுமே இல்லையா? Yes, please.
Not the same kind of a story though. I actually do event management in the college. So I select students for coordinating with me for the event. And we have a literary club called ATAL here and the coordinator. I interview people and I select the board members every year, like the president, vice president and all that. So last year it happened. So there were 10 board members. One was the president, vice president, you have PRO, you have HR and all that. So I selected 10, out of which one guy, I have handled class for that guy also. I was into the department in April. So I thought this guy, I selected him for the board, but I wasn't very happy with that guy. I thought he is a mediocre person and he can be one among the board and I thought he can support the team. So I did not make him the president or vice president. I think I made him the vice president. So, but later on, I was surprised, he actually surprised me, shocked me by the way he coordinated with the team. And we conduct what every year is an inter-college literary event. And he was the one who was coordinating the entire team. He was the one who planned the entire event and he brought in sponsors from outside. And he participated in the restart and all those things. And I see a very good leader in him and I told him also. I did not think that you are a very good leader, but now I regret. I feel so sorry. I couldn't see the potential in you. But thank God I could see that within that 1 year tenure. And yeah, sometimes we judge wrongly.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Any other sharing? Yes, please.
Yeah, actually, I kickstarted this profession right from 2010. And while I was doing my lecturing portion in Nevada Engineering College, there is one girl named Diana. And it is a very mediocre college, not like a reputed institution what RIT talent having. So I could find a finite student who was more having more stuff, but because of their excess proceedings, they were into Nevada Engineering College. But always I used to energize the report wherever I go. So getting a positive pulse, the finance cluster of students pages to forward their higher studies and rest of the proceedings based on that input. And currently one of the students named Diana, she is acting as a team leader in cognizant technologies and she used to update all her proceedings with me and she just ask guidance on her subject areas. So, irrespective of what kind of college we are enrolling ourselves for participating, or irrespective of what type of profession that we are taking up, it is always all about how we are doing it. That matters a lot. And this was I used to translate across their areas. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. One more sharing. Anybody, please.
No sharing. I want to suggest something and what I done the same mistake. We don't have the time. Because being a school kid in 80s and 90s, we don't have that community WhatsApp or Facebook whatsoever. So once the WhatsApp has become popular, we have made a school unit, a school WhatsApp group. So through that, we made a school reunion in 2009. So that was where the students, I studied in St. Andrews High School in Marathon. So which is like it is a government aided school, but the teachers were other. So still I can recollect the teaching by my math teacher, my Tamil Vadia, Tamil Amma, and biology and botany teachers. So they are all standing examples of teaching. So there was a teacher in 11th and so he used to travel from Kathmandu. So we approached him, sir, 11th standard math was very hard. So in our time, the time when the syllabus was changed, after breaking curriculum, about 12 years our batch faced the new syllabus. So it was a challenge for us. So he used to teach us beyond the class level, school level. So he had time to go to Kathmandu, but he didn't have, I would say, 2 hours. He used to sit with 3 for me and another girl, and he used to take classes. So we thought we actually approached him for a tuition, and at the end of the year, we approached him at the end of the month, maybe, I don't remember. So I asked, what is the fee? He said, no, you are our friend. I will not take money from you. So that was, he was the teacher who inspired me how to, when everything cannot be matched with money. Teaching is a service and every job is a service. So you have to put yourself whole into, heart and soul into the work. That is the thing.
Thank you, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am, please.
Okay, sir. I think I'm audible now. So I started my career in 2000. So it was my almost second batch of students whom I'm still in touch with. He is Naveen, one of my students. I couldn't forget him till now. He was a last month student for all the 4 years. I have been in contact with him.
All I know, ma'am.
Last month student, so he's tall away even. Now performance wise sir. So he was an average student over there. So I didn't have much of contact with him almost all the 4 years, but I know him. Continuously, whenever I give assignment, he will come and talk to me. Ma'am, அப்ப கூட வந்து I felt okay, ஏதோ டவுட் கேட்கறான் அது மட்டும் தான் இருந்துச்சு. பட் பெர்ஃபார்மன்ஸ்ல நல்லா இல்லாததுனால I thought okay, he is an average student. I thought he will be entering into an IT company. But after completing 4 years of time, he entered into a telecom industry. He was posted in Jammu, and from there he made a call to me. Madam, எனக்கு doubt, micro engineering doubt. And then I realized, அந்த ஸ்டூடெண்ட்டுக்கு உண்மையாலுமே அந்த சப்ஜெக்ட் மேல அவ்வளோ ஆர்வம் இருந்ததுங்கிறத அப்ப எனக்கு புரிஞ்சது. ஸோ மை ஃபீலிங் இஸ், இனிமேல் எந்த ஸ்டூடெண்ட்டையும் அண்டர் எஸ்டிமேட் பண்ணிடக்கூடாது அப்படின்னு ஐ ஃபெல்ட். ஃப்ரம் தென் ஆன்வர்ட்ஸ் ஐ கெப்ட் இன் மைண்ட், எந்த ஸ்டூடெண்டா இருந்தாலும் எவ்வளவு பெரிய டவுட்டா இருந்தாலும் சரி, எவ்வளவு சின்ன டவுட்டா இருந்தாலும் சரி, அவங்களுக்கு ஏதோ அந்த சப்ஜெக்ட் மேல ஒரு இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் நம்ம கிரியேட் பண்ணிருக்கோம், இல்ல அவங்களுக்கா இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் இருக்கு அப்படிங்கறத ஐ அண்டர்ஸ்டுட். ஸ்டில் தட் ஸ்டூடெண்ட் இஸ் இன் கான்டாக்ட் வித் மீ. ஈவன் நவ் ஹி ஆஸ்க் மீ டவுட்ஸ். நீ 15 வருஷமா அந்த ஃபீல்ட்ல ஒர்க் பண்ற, உனக்கு தெரியறத விட எனக்கு கம்மியா தான் தெரியும் அப்படின்னா, நோ மேடம், யூ ஆர் ரைட் சம்டைம்ஸ். Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much. So this is the next exercise we did. Everybody had a chance to go through this? Yes, yes. And just by show of hands, how many were predominantly head prominent? Yeah? Cannot be both. One. No, it would give it will say, when the results are produced, it will say what is your prominent. Right. What is your primary? So any heart prominent ones? Okay. Not surprising. Okay. All right. This is an interesting test. Again, it's not scientific by any means. I had to say that so that don't quote me. The reason for this exercise is many of us by nature are head heavy because that's how we are structured. You know, logic rules, right? 1 க்கு அப்புறமா 2 தான் வரணும். ஏன் 0 வரக்கூடாது? Nobody told us வரும்னு சொல்லி வரலைன்னு யாரும் சொல்லல. We made an assumption, right? So that's the structure of how that is. So and particularly as an academic community, I would expect you to be a bit head heavy because knowledge is what rules you, right? So too much into the academic world. So the reason for giving this exercise is for you to know yourself. It is not for me to know. I don't need to know you, right? As much as I care about you, I don't care about you, right? And you don't care about me. We are just meeting here for a session, and it's almost veil snagam, right? And we are done and I leave. But these things once in a while give you a measure of where we stand, and also it helps us on what are the areas we should work on. I'm not going to stand here and say being a head-based leader is useless. We do need, right? But being heart-based is equally important. Because heart has no reasoning. Heart has absolutely no reasoning. He doesn't care. இது என் அம்மான்னா இது என் அம்மா தான். ஏன் எப்படி அதை பத்தி கவலையே கிடையாது. தட் இஸ் ஹார்ட். இது என் குழந்தைன்னா இது என் குழந்தை. தட்ஸ் இட். ஏன் எதுக்கு எப்படி, it doesn't care. So when you are having the balance of that, and when you are able to use your heart as an emotion as well, that is when you are able to connect with your students. Otherwise your tendency is to look at them through the lens of grades, performance and all this, because that's what head says. Head looks for evidence, heart looks for potential. You can clearly say, பயங்கர மார்க் கண்ணா பின்னான்னு ஃபெயில் ஆயிட்டான், ஒரு அம்மா கிட்ட போய் சொல்லி பாருங்களா, என்ன இப்படி ஒரு மக்க பெற்று பாரு, அடி நிமித்தி எடுத்துருவாங்க. உனக்கு என்ன தெரியும், அவன் வேற என்ன பண்ணுவான்னு தெரியும். That is the heart. That is the heart, right? And the heart is always right. The head can change, because I tell my kids, right, 1 plus 1, with at the 10th decimal is 2. Till it is proven wrong, and who knows when that will happen. Till it is proven wrong, it is right. But heart, that is not the case. It is always, it is never wrong. So there is a distinction. This is a science. Science, as it evolves, the reality of science changes. What we call today as the fundamentals of science didn't exist 100 years back. And we are a species that have crossed, 1,000,000 years. So in that spectrum, what is 100? Not even a rounding error, statistically speaking. So the science, as the fundamentals change, and that's the problem with head. Yeah, it looks at that, what is the outcome. Head looks at outcome. Heart looks at potential. Equally, extremely important for your emotional intelligence, EQ. That is where it just changes the dimension completely. Yeah. So anybody, going through those questions, found anything interesting, or you started and you expected something and something else happened? Any sharing there? டெஸ்ட் வைக்கிற நமக்கே டெஸ்ட் வச்சாங்களே அப்படின்னு யாராவது யோசிச்சிங்களா? தப்பில்லை, யோசிக்கலாம். Anything else? Generally going through that, it's a small exercise, nothing exhaustive. There are exhaustive ones, but I chose that something, as an indicator, because other ones are paid ones. This happens to be free. நீங்க சொல்லுங்களா, அந்த டெஸ்ட் எடுக்கும்போது உங்க எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் என்ன? You did not. Okay. Link work agaliya? Okay. Okay. For you it didn't work. Okay. Okay. You are a heart-based person. Take the test and you will be surprised whenever the link works for you. Because நம்ம நல்லவன் நம்ம நினைக்கிறது வந்து தப்பே கிடையாது. That is what the world, the biggest problem is. Everybody thinks they are the best and they have the heartiest person. But as they say, what happens when the rubber hits the road is called reality, right? And that might be completely different. For taking this test, I thought I was a heart person, and anybody who knows me will tell me I'm a heart person. The test says I'm a head person. The test says I'm a head person because I am logically wired. That is the nature of my work, and that's what I do. இதுக்கப்புறம் இது அதுக்கப்புறம் அது ஒரு லாஜிக் இருக்கணும், right? And unfortunately I went to an engineering college, right? So even more logically wired. Everything has to be sensible and logical and all that thing. And over the years I've learned that the day logic stops in your mind, magic happens. And I'm not being philosophical. I'm not being philosophical at all. Try it out. The day you shut all your logical systems, you will see magic. And it's amazing. Have I experienced Pono? Himayamalthil Pono, I don't know when I'll go, but in my plans, right? But that's the beauty of logical thinking, and also non-logical. You need to activate those sides of your persona in order to be an effective leader, to have the emotional quotient that is extremely needed to develop leaders, because who you are developing are leaders. They are our future. They are our future, dare I say, not just for the state of Tamil Nadu, not for India, but for humanity. That's who we are developing. Each and every individual has that ability to be a leader of this human society. Right? So that was the intention of the exercise. Hopefully you liked it, but this is to give you a gauge of where you are and also see out those attributes and work on those attributes, because being heart heavy is equally important as much as head heavy. Yeah? Last one.
Most of the patients related to how we are connected to the other.
Right. And that's correct. That is precisely why it is, emotional quotient. Emotional quotient is about knowing you and knowing others. It's not about what you know. It's not about what they know. Completely different, agenda topic, right? Can you get some water? That's it. Thank you, ma'am. The last topic for the day. Sorry,
I think spirituality matters a lot for bringing it all positive in present routine. Leadership and emotional.
Absolutely. I mean, I was talking about Professor Dr. Harry Burry, right, who is a pastor and a professor. And that's the, what is known to the world, and I am fortunate to study under him. But things that, many people did not know until we started working with him, he was heavily involved in the Palestine issue. He said, I'm not going to sit here and watch whatever is going on. Right? He went to Palestine to help the Palestinians, not the Israelis. Not the Israelis. The normal American view is Israelis are right, Palestinians are wrong. That's the normal American view. But he saw the pain and suffering of the Palestinian children on the streets. That inspired him to go to Palestine. Beauty is, he was judged as an American, and they captured him and kept him in solitary prison. He spent 2 weeks there, came back with even more conviction to fight for the Palestinians. that takes it, he says, how horribly they should be affected, where they cannot see the niceness of a person. That's how deeply the wounds are. How deeply. We can call this spirituality. We can call it whatever branding we can give. But that is emotional quotient. That is emotional intelligence at its best. He did not see that he was captured. He said, how badly are they wounded? How highly are they hurt? Right? That they couldn't see that there is a pastor just coming to help, and they captured me also. அப்படின்னு போராட்டம் எக்கச்சக்கமா பண்ணியிருக்காரு. He's 95 years old. He still writes on this issue. Right? And he runs a, not-for-profit saying, humanity for world peace. He fights for it even now. I met him for a breakfast about 7-8 years in Bangkok. He's a visiting faculty there. And just I happened to be in town traveling for business, so I met him there. I was like, I'm tired. I'm not even 50 at the time. And this man is so much energy and passion to talk about, what society, changes he can bring. And that's spirituality. Because spirituality somehow has this, connotation of, people who are spiritual are, mild, they are, they are very passive. No, that is not true. The spiritual way of aggression is completely different. The outcomes they expect and the topics they deal with, but fundamentally that's what it is. When he sent us to that park, all he was asking us is to meditate and to become spiritual. That was his whole idea. So absolutely, I think that is a big part of it. But these days, when we say that, then people will say, oh, is religion being trusted? Correct, absolutely. We don't have to. No, absolutely not needed at all. Correct. The last exercise, and this one I did not give any homework. We are going to do it here and now with sharing, right? How many of you in the last 1 month in your class have told a student in a class, they're asking a question, I don't know. You as a professor have said, I don't know. You have done that. Done that. Anybody else? Done that. What happens after that?
We have to refer and we have to explain them either the next day or
so you are able to connect back and do that. So you are able to say it in front of the class that I don't know what you are asking, and then you are able to connect back. Thank you so much. How about you?
Indian Constitution has taken a movement. It is new for me also. I've been teaching Mali for 5-6 years now. So when the students ask about some article or change in law and all that, I just tell them I'm not well-versed in that. I do not know. And let us search together. I ask them to also go Google, find out. We will discuss this tomorrow. They become more close actually. They become closer. They come and discuss.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. And we can all agree that's not the norm. That is not the norm, right? And I'm happy to see there are a few, right? Because it starts like that. And that is extremely important for emotional quotient. Ability to say in front of your class, which quote unquote is inferior to you in knowledge, quote unquote, right? Inferior to your knowledge, to say I don't know is extremely powerful. That is when the students can connect with you. That is when the students can, look at you with comfort and say, hey, I'm teacher ko onnum theriyadu. It's not about that. It's about namakko andha vayasula nariya theriyama irukkum. That is the other message you are leaving with them. They should not come out and say, hey, I have now 5 horns and I have become genius of everything. Nobody has ever claimed that. At least the geniuses have never claimed that. I've seen, particularly, unfortunately, in many academic circles that I roam around, I've seen a lot of people, not just head heavy, but blown up egos. I know everything. In this topic, I am the person. I'm like, wow. Right? I'm seeing God for the first time. Is the feeling. But it is important to, one, express that so that you are connecting with the students. And as ma'am said, it connects you. They feel the comfort. They will come run after you and ask a question because they know they can connect with you. Right? Because they know they don't talk only to the intelligent kids. So many barriers you break with that. Many barriers get broken with that. The minute you do that. The second thing is, make it a teamwork. Amazing question. I don't know. You don't know. Let's learn it together. Let's learn it together. Right? Then it becomes a pursuit of continuous learning. On one hand, it is for you. On the other hand, that habit becomes for your student as well, of lifelong learning. They should never think that they are done. Nobody is done. We are never done. Right? So, that's a very important part of this emotional quotient and emotional intelligence. To be able to be transparent on who you are. Because we are all vulnerable. We are all, curious. The fact that we are curious just means we don't know. The minute you say I'm curious, it means you also agree that you don't know. Right? And coming from a position of power, a professor and a teacher is a position of power and authority. That's given to you. Right? But to earn it, you need to say, I don't know. You need to say, I don't know. That is when you earn it. Yeah? What is given is given. But in order to earn it, then you have to earn. You have to put your effort. Yeah? So it is an important part, and that's the, I find based on my experience, and I've visited a few institutions and interact with few, academic people, including your chairperson. I meet her at Southern India Chamber of Commerce. She heads the education subcommittee. I'm the supply chain management committee head, so we meet there. Generally, academic community has the tag that I know everything. So the ask is, please, some of your teachers are practicing, learn, practice. You become equal to students. We're all learning every day. The day that student feels that they are learning with you, you are unleashing something that they have never imagined in their life. Right? நானும் என் டீச்சரும் சேர்ந்து படிச்சோம் அப்படின்னு ஒரு ஸ்டூடெண்ட் சொல்றான்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன். That boosts their confidence, breaks your ego. Be prepared for that. Yeah, when you're trying it, you have 2 PhDs, another PhD, whatever, right? That's all the ego that gets broken. Be prepared for that. But then, what it prepares them for and what it makes of you in terms of your leadership is unbelievable. Right? And that's all about this emotional intelligence. Yeah? So, that's almost the, end of our session. So, 3 key takeaways from the session. Anybody help me recall?
We learn the things which are not taught in school or any school of management. Things like based experience.
Right. Any takeaways from the session for you?
What's the thing the person says?
Correct. Absolutely. Look at potential than capability. Absolutely. What else?
Starting over the mentors and teachers.
Absolutely.
And incorporating their results in our daily practice.
Correct. Mentoring, being grateful, empathy is a big part. One more.
Try to transform ourselves as a success learner and gel among the students and move forward.
Absolutely. Be grateful to have empathy. Do you want to be remembered by your students as their favorite teacher or mentor? It's a question that you need to ask yourself every day, every minute. That's your purpose. You have chosen this. You have either chosen this or the profession has chosen you. I don't believe in this, pardon my language, nonsense that வேற வழி இல்லாம இதுல வந்துட்டேன். No. Either you chose it or the profession chose you. That's it. Recently, I met this guy, Annadurai, Auto Annadurai. Anybody know Auto Annadurai? Auto Annadurai? Youngsters, I'm sure. No? Nobody knows Auto Annadurai. That's a bit strange. I'm sure your students know about Auto Annadurai. He's become very popular. He's an auto driver who drives an auto in the OMR area, right? And he's become an absolute business leader and an inspiration. Absolutely, that's the guy, right? So I met him recently at an event where he was a speaker, I was also a speaker, a NASCOM event, right? Thoroughly blown away. I was, all the business honkos there, they were CEO of Cognizant, Vice President of Infosys, all these big guys. Everybody couldn't control themselves but had to give standing ovation at least 10 times while this guy was talking. That's powerful. He said, ஆட்டோ ஓட்டுறது ஒரு பொழப்பா நானா எடுத்துக்கலங்க. வேற வழி இல்ல. ஆனா எடுத்ததை நல்லா பண்ணணுன்ற முடிவு மட்டும் நான் எடுத்தேன். That's an attitude. That's an unbelievable attitude. And the guy makes about 1.5 lakhs a month, pays GST and tax, and has an amazing followers of customers. I mean, what more do you want? Thoroughly inspired. He didn't say எனக்கு வேற வழி இல்லாம எடுத்தேன். இதுதான் கிடைச்சது சார். கிடைச்சதை பெஸ்டா பண்ணணும்னு முடிவு பண்ணிட்டேன். So, one, when I just thought I learned it, so accept without judging. Your students are your students. Rank number 1, rank number 50 doesn't really matter. In terms of potential, they're equally as good as anybody else on earth. Who knows? They could be the next Bill Gates. Why do you want to cut ourselves into only these 50 people? They have that potential. It's up to you to inspire them, to look at themselves in a way they have never seen themselves, because they are also being taught to look through the lens of marks. நீ அவன் அதுல டாப்பரு, இவன் இதுல டாப்பரு, நீ இதுல. Break that for them, right? Have a heart, see beyond their capabilities and look at potential. Lastly, be open. I don't know. Nothing wrong in saying I don't know, because if you don't know, then you don't know, right? And make it a journey. Trust happens, collaboration happens, and amazing things happen. They're able to. So these are the 3 takeaways. For me, that is emotional intelligence, right? So you're all full of IQ, but EQ is where you need to transition into. IQ is all about know-how. What do you know? This is the latest, and this is the greatest, and this is the best. This one, I know myself, I know you. It takes a different kind of frame of mind in order to get to this. Right? So that's all I had for the session today. Thank you very much for your sharings, because as I said, I'm a work in progress. I learn every day from each and every person I meet. And today was, learning from teachers is standing on a stage, right? Different experience, but thank you so much for that. Any last sharings, comments, thoughts?
Session is absolutely mind-blowing, and we enjoyed a lot.
Thank you.
Takeaways are very rich in terms of mindset and experience.
Thank you very much. Anything else? Anybody else?
It's a long time.
Came back to the class. That's, I think, very, very important, right? When I ask my my children, right, why, right? The question why is very important, and I'm very fascinated. And my favorite answer is, if you want to guess, what do you think would be my favorite answer for a question why? Why not? I know it's not a popular accepted answers, but think about it. For me, anybody who's able to give that answer has a deep thought. Why is the question, right? For anything. Why this, why that, whatever, why. The answer is why not. So you're basically questioning back. You give me the answer for why not, and I can create the opposite, and that becomes the answer for my why. Right? So again, it's just something, I practice with my kids, because I want them to be open, and, you can imagine I'm in trouble with my wife for that. Right? Because they don't know where to use and where not to use. But anyway, again, thanks a lot for the opportunity. Please, Kelly.
So, after getting the test that you gave us yesterday, we talked about humility and empathy and all that. So, what I have experienced in my life, or in other words, what I have observed is when you try to be humble and when you want to empathize with people and you start thinking from other side and you take your decisions or you change the way in which you talk or handle a person, you know. Most of the time, the other person thinks that this person is weak or they take a ride on. That's my observation, correct me if I'm wrong. So how to handle such situation? And sometimes, then you try to be humble and then you lay low, you know. People comment, and especially my family people, my family members comment at me, Amma, you're very active. You should be a little more assertive. You think you don't want to be aggressive, but you have to be assertive when you do it. And at those times, you know, when I'm open to such comments, I use my confidence maybe. Sometimes I get demotivated. It's a personal question if you want to answer.
No, I can answer, and I can also be, honest here and say I deal with it fairly regularly, let's say, without going into specifics, So you're not unique in that sense. But at the end of the day, this is what it is, right? It's a choice, right? And I firmly believe I don't want to be who others want me to be. I want me to be me the way I want to be. Others think I care a damn. That's my attitude. You call it passive? That's my passive. And I have to deal with it fairly regularly in various circumstances, at work, at family, and everywhere I have to deal with it, right? But deep inside me, and that's where the spirituality and all this comes, right, is at the end of the day, who am I responsible to answer? Is my own consciousness, nothing else. And as long as I have a clear consciousness, right, I don't have to be scared and answerable to any damn person on this earth. Any damn person, right? And that sounds rude, but I'm considered passive. But that's how the passiveness works, right? So it's the true belief, because so today, sir is having a certain expectation from me. So for that expectation, I change myself for that expectation. Tomorrow, ma'am has certain expectation and I change, right? And then after a certain period, who am I? Where am I? I don't exist. And we all run into this situation through our lives. There is nobody who has, not reached that where they start, what is my identity? My identity is, so that's why I said, okay, I'm the vice president of DHL and all this. But who am I is, I'm an optimist. That is my identity. Even throw DHL out, that still remains my identity. And that is what fundamentally I believe, personally again, and that's the grind you have to go through. Think about the flip side, right? The minute you say, okay, you become assertive and you become this, and the same people will come and say that person is rude. Right? So, at the end of the day, you as an individual, you want to decide who you want to be. What is your identity for yourself? Because that is who you are accountable for. Not the husband, not the kids, not the parents, not whether you believe it on God or not even to God. Not even to God. Because this is deep inside you, who you believe you should be, and that is what you should aspire to be. Anything you try to sugarcoat will always have other consequences that you will regret. If you want to stay away from regret, be yourself.
We have to detach from all.
நீங்க அடுத்து வந்து philosophy போயிடுறீங்க. That's a separate topic for a different day. I'm happy to engage.
I think that's the day we're going to be talking for a second and we already have already.
No, I agree. But hopefully I answered your question. I'm not answering your question. I'm giving my perspective of what I think. Right? And now that's what it is. Yeah. Thanks again.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your insightful speech with us.
No, I'll drop it.
Now I request the coordinators to facilitate the memento for
Thank you.
the chief guest, Mr. Naveen. Thank you, sir. I request all the participants to have the refreshment break provided outside. We will resume here after 10 minutes.